Hello, sports fans. Mauricio here. Well, it's time to explain the code. So, in effect, we are just providing a wrapper around our stored procedures and data model and database. We're protecting our SQL assets with the web page. And so we're reducing the number of garbage data entry errors that could happen by providing these drop-down lists. And we're just trying to make the thing work, okay? So I didn't mention, but the prior video had 5 line items for sales ID 71, and I don't think I showed it, but the sales summary shows 5 line items, 5 units total. So the sales summary worked fine. So now let's take a look at how this web ASP.NET button called the stored procedure. So here we go. So this is a button click procedure, and it only runs this code when the event happens that button 3 was clicked. So we start with error checking. What is the Achilles heel of stored procedures is if you don't provide a value. Now, I didn't provide any default values. I wouldn't want to make a bogus sale of a product to a customer. So I don't have any default values, but we must make sure that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits of information are passed as input parameters. So we're going to make sure in the code that an item was selected or something was typed in. So let's do them one at a time. So here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the 5 we need. Did they select something there? So it just occurred to me we can't see if the optional checkbox was checked. It's not required, so the fact that they didn't check it doesn't throw a problem. So that is not one of my error checking factors. So anyway, it's always error checking and then input processing output. So did they select a customer? So that is the drop-down list on the new sale view. So DDL customers. I'm sure I have another one named DDL customers somewhere else. Another drop-down list. So that's why I called it DDL customers on the new sale view. If the selected index is less than or equal to 0, so when you turn on the web page, the index is -1. Nothing was selected yet. The first one on the list that could be selected is 0. But the item on the list that is the 0 says select the customer. So if they didn't select anything, so then it would be less than 0. They didn't select anything, the index would be -1. They didn't select anything. That's less than 0. But 0 is also a problem. The item where they select right here, select the customer, so that's item 0. That's for the customers and that's for the products. So that's a problem. So if they select item 0, that's also a problem. So if they selected item 0 or they didn't select anything, then give an error message, hey, check data entry, exit sub, which means stop. That's the same thing as return in the SQL. All right, so did they select a valid entry in the drop-down list for customers? Or else. So if any of these test conditions are a problem, then stop. That's how I write it. check for problems. If you found a problem, stop. Other people write it, well, are there no problems? Then continue. But anyway, I write it this way. If there's problems, if any of these are problems, so the or else means check the next test condition on the list here. If any of them are problems, or if any of these test conditions come to true, hey, they didn't select something, then exit sub, stop. By the way, exit sub always, always, always must go inside an if and if. If you just leave an exit sub just somewhere in your code, it just shuts off the page and then you wonder why it doesn't work. All right, did they select a customer? Yeah. Did they select a product? Again, it's the products drop-down list on the new sale view. Did they select something? If they didn't, that's a problem. How about, did they type something in the units? If they didn't type anything in the units, then we need to stop. That's a problem. Is it, by the way, this has to be one line. You can't hit enter in the middle of the line. You have to turn on word wrap. Oh, Featherman, how do you turn on word wrap? I knew you'd ask. Tools, options, text editor, all languages, word wrap, and line numbers. So I'll just hit cancel there. All right, so you can't just hit enter in the middle line. Yeah, see, it puts a then up there, so I got then, so that doesn't make any sense. Then. So they all have to be, it has to be one long string. So if any of these are problems, you know, we stop the procedure. What they typed in the text box, is it numeric? Oh, that's a problem if it's not. So if it's false, is numeric is false, they typed the word forty, F-O-R-T-Y. If they didn't type a number, that's a problem. Is numeric? So that reads, is numeric what they typed in the text box? If that's false, it's not a number, then stop. Otherwise, did they select the date? Did they select a date in the text box that looks like a little calendar? No. If they didn't, then stop. All right. Now, at some point, we're going to fetch all the line items and show them on the page. In prior video, we had 5 line items. So if we were to add a 6th, we would use, for example, this highlighted line to clear out the old data, because you're going to just go fill it up again. So very often with a data table array, you clear it and fill it again. So here's a string variable because we're going to get values from our output parameter in a minute. The string feedback, I'll just slide down here. The text box that's going to display our feedback later is going to have this string variable in it, so I'll just point it out. So we have a string variable, so you get the output parameter passed back from the stored procedure, and you put that in a string variable, and then you tell the text box, hey, go display what's in that string variable. I found that to be very stable. So we are running a stored procedure. We are using a command to run the stored procedure. Now, this looks a little different than before because this stored procedure doesn't return any data set. If we were returning a data set, then our command would be inside using the data adapter type of code. But all we're doing is an insert. And, I just thought about it. I guess we would want to call our refresh. So one of the grid views is for the products and another one is for the customers. So those values are going to be updated by this procedure of having a invoice. And so we would definitely want to refresh, in this case, refresh the grid views on the products and customers views. Go refresh the list. All right, so we are in our web page, and we are using this SQL command, which is actually an ASP.NET object. So, the store procedure is save line item. So what did I call the command? Save line item. If you name things similarly, you make less errors. So when you make a new command, we've seen this before, you have to spy its connection, that it is running a stored procedure, and the name of the stored procedure. If this doesn't work, you can remove the DBO dot and remove the brackets, and one of them will work as long as you have the right name. I'll just leave it alone. All right, so you declare and create the ASP.NET SQL command, and then you add the line items. So with command, so the command has a parameters collection. They call it a list or a collection. So we need to go into the parameters for that command, which is going to run the stored procedure. We need to clear out all the old values. Then we need to add 6 parameters. How do you know 6, Featherman? Well, because this is the stored procedure we're running. This is the SQL. And so it wants 6. Do they have to be the exact same names? Yes. Is it case sensitive? Yes. So please be careful. And so in our Visual Studio, you can bring up the Server Explorer and bring up the stored procedures, and then you could see the save line item version 3. You could see the list of parameters there, so that'll help you stop making errors. Hey, what could go wrong? You don't have the right number of input parameters, you mistyped an input parameter, you put the wrong value from the wrong web control into one of the input parameters, or you forgot one, or wrong data type. So a lot can go wrong, but they have to match exactly, which is why when I code, I just copy them. I just copy it over, and then when I start coding, you do this dot add with value, and then just paste it in there, and so you can see how I got the list, and that's a good way to do it. So we're adding 6 parameters, and with add with value means, yeah, go ahead and create the parameter, but also go get the data and stick it in that parameter. So we're using the selected value like product 6, customer 4. The units comes from the text box units. I'm pretty careful about convert to decimal, because it does have to be converted into a number. Was it a new sale? This checkbox 1.checked will return a 0 if it's unchecked. It'll return a 1 if it is checked, and that'll get put into the new sale parameter, and the new sale parameter is nvarchar. I guess that could also be so it's putting the word true or false in there. We could also put it as a 0 or 1, like a bit. And we have the invoice date. Now, this is pretty tricky. So date, you have to use datetime dot parse to pull the date out of the calendar and turn it into a date, and then assign it to the variable. I'll start right here in the next video. Thank you.